60 days after Chinese transgressions at Pangong-so and Galwan, China agrees to disengage at Petrol Point 14 and other friction points. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi talked for over 2 hours. This after Prime Minister Narendra Modi's tough stance at Ladakh.
विस्तारवाद की जीत जब किसी पर सवार हुई है, उसने हमेशा विश्व शांति के सामने खतरा पैदा किया है। कि ऐसी ताकतें मिट गई हैं या मुड़ने के लिए मजबूर हो गई हैं।
But the devil is in the detail. Will Chinese disengagement lead to de-escalation and de-induction? After the Chinese treachery at Galwan, can India trust China? That's our top focus on India First. Those who don't learn from history are condemned and doomed to repeat it. Take a look at this newspaper headline. This is 15th of July in 1962 when the Chinese withdrew from Galwan. We all know what happened. Exactly 97 days later in October 1962 when the Chinese stabbed India in the back and attacked India. The Chinese have once again announced that they are withdrawing from Petrol Point 14 in Galwan. The question remains, can India trust China? The devil is in the detail. If the Chinese are withdrawing, to what point are they withdrawing? By when will they withdraw? Will they withdraw to their peacetime locations? Will they withdraw beyond Finger 8? These are questions we are seeking answers to. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Action-packed 30 minutes lined up. Let's get started. As always, top focus story on the broadcast is this 2-hour-long meeting, virtual meeting between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and the Chinese State Councillor, Foreign Minister Wang Yi, after which a decision was taken that the Chinese troops will pull back about 2 kilometers at Petrol Point 14. So will Indian troops once they verified that the Chinese have pulled back. If this is successful here, the same will then be replicated at Petrol Point 15, 17 Alpha, hopefully even Pangong-so. But the question remains, will the Chinese withdraw beyond Finger 8? Will those 2 divisions of the Chinese army, the 4 mechanized and the 6 mechanized forces plus the motorized divisions, will they withdraw to their peacetime location? And what measures will India take to ensure that the Chinese do not stab us in the back once again?
The first signs of disengagement. China has pulled back troops from several flashpoint areas along the LAC in Ladakh. Sources in the government tell India Today the Chinese army was seen removing tents and moving back from certain areas of the Galwan Valley, the site of bloody clashes that left 20 Indian soldiers dead on June 15th. China too has confirmed disengagement.
Chinese and Indian troops are having commander-level talks. The two sides continue to work to implement consensus raised at the 2 previous rounds of talks.
There is progress made.
Frontline troops taking effective measures to disengage and ease the tensions.
India Today has exclusive information of the pullback. The Chinese troops have retreated by 1 to 2 kilometers in the Galwan Valley. Some climb down is also seen in Pangong-so, Hot Springs and Gogra areas. The pullback from Pangong-so, however, has only been limited, with some Chinese positions being dismantled. The groundwork for disengagement is believed to have been prepared during the Corps Commander level talks between the two sides. The process, however, got a boost after a telephonic conversation between the NSA Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who are also special representatives of the two nations for border talks. During the 2-hour telephonic conversation, Doval and Wang agreed on ensuring phased de-escalation, while also stressing on maintaining peace in the border areas.
Till now, both sides have stuck to the plans of disengagement as discussed in various meetings, but this is just the first step to diffuse the situation. It might still take some time to verify things on the ground and ensure that a decided pullback takes place. With camera person Satya, Abhishek Bhalla in Leh for India Today.
And I want to quickly cut across to India Today's editor Defense Abhishek Bhalla, who joins us live from Leh for more on the story. Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan with me on the broadcast. Also with us is Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma. He's former Leh Corps commander and someone who's personally handled Chinese transgressions. And perhaps there are very important lessons on how India should deal with it in the manner in which he had dealt with the Chinese transgressions. But Abhishek, to you first. What is the verification mechanism? How do we know that the Chinese are not just pulling back a couple of kilometers, they've still got their forces in depth areas and they can come back again? Or is this disengagement and de-escalation, is there a time frame for de-induction to peacetime location?
Gaurav, there are laid out procedures that were decided in the meetings that took place at the Corps Commander level, and there is a 72-hour watching period that has been decided by both sides, which means that in that period they can verify whether a pullback has happened on the ground or not. So if the disengagement has started in Galwan Patrol Point 14 early this morning, it means that over the next 3 days the two sides will patrol areas, come close to the line of actual control to get a sense whether they have actually pulled back. Now, what is very crucial to understand here is that a similar exercise was taking place on the 15th of June when a verification team of the Indian Army went close to the Patrol Point 14 in Galwan, and they saw that the observation post that the Chinese army had put up was not dismantled, and in fact the Chinese army had mobilized in much bigger numbers. So that's the reason why this verification exercise was insisted by India, and that's the reason it's extremely important that it should be carried out in a fair and a transparent manner. Sources still say that this is the first step towards disengagement,
when you talk about
a very piecemeal kind of a situation.
When you talk about fair and transparent, China, fair and transparent, three words cannot be used in the same sentence, and that's the history of our neighbors to the east. But General Sharma, in your appreciation, how do we differentiate between a cosmetic disengagement and a real pullback by the Chinese troops? Can we be stabbed in the back again, sir?
Thank you, Gaurav. The first issue is that it's a positive day. There is progress that we see, and there is a talk about disengagement and also de-escalation. But the fact that you are bringing about is absolutely right. There is actually no trust left with us on Chinese and whether they'll actually disengage and what's going to happen in the future. So it is important for us that we proceed with great amount of caution, because we'll have to verify to make sure that he actually does disengage and goes back, as he's already committed on 30th of June with the Corps Commanders meeting. And that also verification has to be done physically. It also can be done by satellite imageries or through other means like UAVs, etc. So we'll have to make sure that this actually happens and we retain this kind of control on the disengagement process.
Fair enough, because when it comes to China, how do you trust a country that did not respect a single agreement that's been so painstakingly arrived at between the two countries from 1993 to 1996 to 2014 to 2017, and Wuhan and Mamallapuram, and in one single stroke, the Chinese thought that they could ride roughshod over India till Colonel Santosh Babu's men put them wiser, and of course the Prime Minister's very strong comments subsequently. But Geeta, Wang Yi, in his conversations, the Chinese State Councillor, the Foreign Minister, in his conversations with Ajit Doval, our National Security Advisor, insisted that public opinion should be guided in a certain way, that differences are not highlighted. the Chinese just appear to be thinking about public posturing and what the public is thinking, and not their wrong actions or their pulling back to peacetime location, Geeta.
Well, that's right, Gaurav. Two things, two very important developments today. One is that after the SR level talks yesterday, the statements that have been put out by India and Chinese statement are vastly different. While the agreements are on 3 or 4 points, Indian statement was a very responsible one. They came out, they said that the two leaders spoke, and these are the outcomes of the talks, which is peace and tranquility. The incidents should not recur. They should agree to the bilateral agreements, adhere to it, and the spirit of Wuhan and Mamallapuram. The Chinese statement, Gaurav, does not only specify these things, but before that, there's an entire paragraph wherein the Chinese have said that Wang Yi emphasized on a few things, in which they have reiterated their stand on Galwan. Let me just say what they said. They said that the right and wrong of what recently happened at the Galwan Valley, the western sector of the China-India boundary, is very clear, which means they're not budging on what their stand is. So while we might say that there has been some forward movement and it's a positive development, don't hold your breath to what China can do or whether China has actually moved. We will verify it, but also don't think that they might not return, because over here they're already claiming Galwan in a statement that was supposed to be a statement of reconciliation.
Clearly no statement of reconciliation from a very treacherous neighbor called China. Can't decide which is worse, Pakistan or China. But perhaps China should once again listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister flew into Ladakh. He addressed soldiers on ground, both army and the Indo-Tibetan border police, of course, along with our air warriors, and made one thing very clear. India wants peace, but at no point will India permit China, he didn't name China, of course, but will permit anyone to compromise on India's territorial integrity.
An unprecedented move, an unparalleled message of resolve. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ladakh put all doubts about India's position on Chinese aggression to rest.
विस्तारवाद का युग समाप्त हो चुका है। ये युग विकासवाद का है। इतिहास गवाह है कि ऐसी ताकतें मिट गई हैं या मुड़ने के लिए मजबूर हो गई है। आपके त्याग, बलिदान, पुरुषार्थ के कारण।
Now, within hours of the Prime Minister's morale-boosting visit, there's been a disengagement at the flashpoints of Galwan Valley and Pangong So. The pullback in Galwan Valley and Pangong So began just a little over 48 hours after Modi's visit. Did the Prime Minister's message play a role? Highly placed sources in the Modi government indicate that India has been following a twin-track approach in dealing with China. The government has indicated a firm resolve when it comes to guarding national security. Top sources have told India Today that the Prime Minister's visit to Leh and his address to the troops stationed there was a firm indication of determination to safeguard India's territorial integrity.
भारत माता के दुश्मनों ने आपकी फायर हुई देखी है और आपकी फ्यूरी भी। हम वो लोग हैं जो बांसुरीधारी कृष्ण की पूजा करते हैं, तो हम वही लोग हैं जो सुदर्शन चक्रधारी कृष्ण को भी आदर्श मान करके चलते हैं।
On the other hand, the government has been pursuing a policy of serious bilateral engagement, both diplomatically and militarily. Sources say the disengagement of frontline troops being seen in different parts of the line of actual control is a result of the dual-track approach being deployed by the Modi government. With Rahul Kaval, Bureau Report, India Today.
Jen Sharma, in your appreciation, when the Chinese talk about disengagement, how does it translate into real action on ground? Are they disengaging, just moving back a couple of kilometers, Or are we talking about the Chinese going to their peacetime location?
Sometimes one wants to question yourself, saying that why did the Chinese do all that they did? Before even he ventured across to Galwan or to Pagong, so he brought 2 divisions to protect himself. Then he carried out these 2 actions. Were all these last 2 months only for Galwan or for Pagong, so or he has a larger motivation in the whole game plan? And this is only phase 1 of the game plan, and the phase 2 of the game plan will come sometime later. And one can't anticipate at this juncture what will be the phase 2 of the next game plan. Now, I am sure he did not expect a robust response that we showed at Galwan, and with the large movement of troops that we brought about in Ladakh to contest this whole the event that took place in 2 months. So I think he would have been quite taken aback on what was the force of the response politically and militarily, and that probably is pushing him back at this juncture. Now the question is, do you believe him? Actually speaking, you can't believe him. You, like you rightly pointed out, neither the 1996 or 2005 with the protocols and CBMC, he's not followed them. Not this time. He's not followed them over last 10 years. This Guttam Gutta is not the way where countries manage it. So we can't believe it, and we can't believe it. So we'll have to handle it in a very cautious manner in future.
Fair enough. That's a very important point you raise. Geeta, perhaps the Chinese are taken aback by India's comprehensive national power. They saw our braves. They saw Colonel Santosh Babu and 19 other braves who made the supreme sacrifice of their lives but pushed the Chinese back. By some accounts, the Chinese suffered more than double the casualties that we suffered. That's one part. 59 apps being banned. China out of our telecom, China out of our road construction. What else is the government planning? Is the government planning to go put more pressure on China? Or after these talks, will we see perhaps the government also pull back a little, which may just give Chinese time, to regroup, rearm and relaunch themselves?
Well, I don't think, Gaurav, there's going to be a breather on the policy front. There is a serious thinking within the Indian administration, while the Indian government and India needs to move towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, looking at Make in India, looking within and strengthening one's economy. It also is looking at taking proactive action to ensure that Chinese investments and dependence on China is reduced. And not only does the Indian industry and manufacturing industry become a hub on its own, but also becomes a major part of the global supply chain. So not only are we looking at doing away with the Chinese investments, we're also looking at replacing China in the global supply chain. Now, it is going to be a very long haul. It is a very important, painstaking mission that the government has taken up. But I don't think there is going to be a let up on this front, although we know that the Chinese have already started threatening a backlash, and they are looking at retaliatory measures. We'll have to see what that is going to be. But serious thinking within the administration, the Chinese investments have to reduce within India.
Fair enough. You also have to keep in mind that there are 2 US aircraft carrier groups, the Nimitz and Ronald Reagan, in South China Sea. What impact will that have in general? In your military appreciation, if China is facing hostilities with Vietnam, with Philippines, with Japan on one front, with India on the other, with US coming in, Taiwan, Hong Kong and us, has he wargamed all of it, or is he also now feeling the heat?
Okay, I think I would answer it in this manner, that any rational actor which is wanting to achieve a superpower status in 2020 as he was aiming it, and subsequently to 2049, he should have wargamed that what would be the reaction of many nations once he starts showing this anger or this aggressiveness or this assertiveness to so many nations, from Japan up to Vietnam and to India. So it would have been expected. Maybe probably he was not expecting the CSGs, 2 of them that came in from the United States, because United States is currently busy in elections and in COVID. But the response has been very aggressive on part of all the nations. In fact, the cohort of nations have got together contesting this aggressiveness stubbornness of China. But I would think that he has planned for it. He has thought about it, that this is the kind of reaction, but he feels that he has the powers to look into the eyes and carry the issues here. A number of nations are already in some kind of his control because of the economic ties he's tied up with Latin America or in Africa and many other nations. This is a very difficult moment in the history of the Committee of Nations, and we have to get together to understand that this is a rising power which wants to show aggression, and we have to get ready for this.
Oh, absolutely. And India is the countermeasure, because the actions that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, his government and the people of India take, that action to a very large extent will determine how India and China deal with each other and how the free world deals with a dictatorship under Xi Jinping. We'll of course track these stories very, very closely here on India First and on India Today. Janil Sharma, Geeta Mohan and Abhishek, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. But before I leave, today is His Holiness the Dalai Lama's 85th birthday. An apostle of peace, considered living God by many. He's been living in India for a very long time, and now in our country there's an increasing demand that he should be awarded, he should be conferred with the Bharat Ratna. We wish His Holiness the Dalai Lama a very happy birthday.
To serve as much as I can.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.